I feel guarded today. There are a lot of new, strange metaphors in my awareness. I'm feeling frustration, and I'm aware that there are things that I would not like to share that will probably reveal themselves anyway, even if it's indirectly, because these diaries are quite psychologically revealing. It's actually probably the case that the more that I try to hide something, the more obvious it becomes, or the more people start thinking about what's going on here, like what's really going on here. So I'm frustrated because I've been hustling hard. I've been really committed to putting myself out there and challenging myself and not making excuses. I never used to promote these videos at all, really. But lately I've actually been putting them in places that I never would have put them before, like getting them in front of other people's audiences and seeing what people think. And that's been quite, like, I would like to say, yeah, I'm cool with like the way that people are responding that aren't already emotionally invested in it, like just total strangers who don't give a shit about who I am. Like when they come along and they just like begin from a place of judgment, I'd like to say I'm cool with that. But it does affect me. But the way that I deal with it is I just don't engage. And when I've had big waves of new people coming all at once, I don't even look at it for a minute. So just limiting my exposure to judgment. But it's still there, obviously. I can't switch it off. But I'm not afraid of it anymore. I used to have an issue with having to explain myself or justify myself, or I would get engaged with people who were judging me and try to change their minds about me. But I don't do that anymore. The first thing I do when I see judgment is usually it's written, and I'll read the response and I'll just ask myself, like, what's going on with this person before I think about myself at all. And 99 times out of 100 it doesn't need a response because it actually has nothing to do with me. So that's quite liberating to be in that place, but it's still difficult to do that. That takes discipline, it takes energy, it takes willpower. So that's new. So I started explaining why I'm frustrated, and I just feel like I've been putting a lot of effort in, and I really want to enjoy the fruits of my effort, but the fruits are not ripe yet. And one metaphor that's in my awareness is like you pick the fruit from the tree that you've grown and bite into it and it's just sour because you didn't have patience. And that exacerbates the frustration as well, because it's like you've put all this effort in and the experience that you're having is sour and bitter. Like it's not the sweetness that you set out to create for yourself. These phases are hard, man. There's like patience phases, like when you just really applying yourself, and you have to wait for the results to show up. Like it's not instantaneous. But the really hard thing to do is stay on track, because with this frustration I'm just like thinking about all the old unhealthy ways that I know to get what I want rapidly, or just ways to fill the void, the void, just get pleasure, satisfaction, connection, anything, like just do it faster, even if it's not what you really want. Like I'm growing this metaphorical fruit tree and I love mangoes, so I'm growing mangoes, and it's taking too long, so I go into somebody else's banana tree and have some of their bananas. Like it's a pretty weak metaphor, but I don't know what I'm really doing. But I'm definitely not doing. I guess the frustration is I'm applying myself. I'm working really hard towards my goals, and then I don't have the patience to wait. So I think maybe the metaphor works if I say, look, I'm picking the fruit before it's ripe, which means it's not getting a chance to ripen. I need to actually give the fruit a chance to ripen so it can become that sweet, delicious victory that I'm working towards. If I get frustrated every week and pick a new piece of fruit off that tree, by the time this tree is fully matured and all of the fruit would be ripe, I will have picked it all and eaten it all bitter and sour and destroyed what I created. That's a good way to make that metaphor stronger. Like that picture really makes sense to me now. And that's what I was talking about at the start. I got these weird metaphors in my head. And when I've got a bunch of strange metaphors in my head that they feel incomplete, I'm like, what is actually going to come out of my mouth? What are we going to be discussing today? And that's why I felt guarded. It makes me quite uncomfortable, because every time I record with the intent to publish, because I found earlier in the journey that if I just record and I tell myself oh, you don't have to post it, you can get away with it, then 99% of the stuff that I record ends up unpublishable, because I've just given myself a free pass before I've even started. So I always record now with the intent that this is going to be seen by people. So don't just waste this time, actually apply yourself to this process as well. I recorded a journal yesterday, and it was something that I don't want to publish, because I did get into that place where I was just dabbling and it was meaningless. Where do I go from here? You have this realization, patience is what I need to work on. I'm working enough, I'm applying myself, I'm committed, I'm doing more than enough. It's just I almost need to put blocks in my calendar, blocks of time that are just for doing nothing, and actually allow them to stay that way. Defend those blocks of time in my schedule as much as I would defend any other engagement that I've locked in. If I'm going to meet with somebody, I'm very punctual. I'll always show up on time and I'll be available, and that's what I'll be focusing on. I need to do that with myself. Instead of when there's going to be some spare time, I just try to fill it with something, anything, just to distract myself, so that I don't go and pick these fruits before they're ripe and taste all the bitterness. Just block out 4 hours to do absolutely nothing. Can I even do that at this point? I mean, I do nothing for short periods of time. 20 minutes is probably the longest that I go just being with myself, laying down, sitting down, letting my mind run, and just when I say letting my mind run, I mean just letting it go through all the stuff that's already in there and sort of empty itself out. 20 minutes, and then inspiration hits, or an idea, or a thought, anything and I'm just I want to explore this, and I'll be off again. But maybe even that's what that time could be. Maybe shouldn't even be in resistance to how I behave when I block out time for myself. Maybe that could open up all kinds of doors. What I actually did last night, after I was having all these thoughts about, like, what do I do with myself when I've got free time? Like, what do people do for fun? And I got into this whole thing thinking about that, and I went into the city for the first time in years and went to like a couple of bars and stuff, and just like thought maybe I'll meet some interesting people, and like this whole cascade effect will take place where like new doors will open, new connections will be formed. But it was so underwhelming. I was just like, there's a reason that I don't do stuff like this. Like, you're not going to meet the kinds of people that are doing the kinds of things you're doing in a dive bar in the city. Like, you're going to be mildly entertained by the, local characters that probably spend every weekend in these places. But you're not here to be mildly entertained. You're here to find extraordinary connections. Like, this isn't the place, bro. But every now and then you gotta revisit these lessons, I suppose, and remember why you left old chapters of your life long behind. Yeah. Well, a friend of mine was actually going in there, and I saw them for about 5 minutes before they disappeared. So it left me to try to entertain myself. And yeah, I just realized that there's nothing for me in those old worlds that I've like closed myself off from. There's like new worlds, I feel. There's like new possibilities, and that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. That's what it's like almost like a craving. I'm like, I know there's something new here, but I don't know what it is because I've never experienced it before. Can somebody please show me? So that's what I'm expecting, almost like in one of those archetypical like hero's journey stories. I'm expecting like some cloaked figure to walk out of the dark shadows and tell me about a potential quest or something, like come on. let's see what you got, reality. Like, what else is there? Like, I don't know. There's definitely a theme that I'm identifying right now in the present moment, just thinking about the kinds of things that I've been documenting lately, of wanting to level up, like wanting to, like this, like it's like a plateau feeling. I've been on this plateau for too long, just like going along on the same level. I get it, cool, this is interesting, but like, I want to break through this ceiling into the next experience. Like, what is it? What else is there? And it's been this desire to level up has been coming through in so many interesting ways. Like, I've pretty much got all of the material things in my reality that I could ever want. Not ever want, but for the level that I'm at. I've got a like nice, reliable, like comfortable car that just feels beautiful to drive, and like got all like plenty of clothes, and like a reliable laptop and cameras and all the things. There's nothing else to really seek out. So, I don't know. It's probably the case that I just need to stop trying to level up all of the things that I'm already doing. Like, spending so much time, I'm applying myself, I'm so committed, I'm doing all this stuff to help grow this fruit that I want to one day taste when it's ripened. But like, what if all the things that I'm doing now, like all of it needs to, like, it isn't a part of this next level? Like, I've really got this sense that the new thing is something that's not connected to anything that I've ever experienced before. Like, it's brand new. It's like a new challenge, a new something. Has anybody else ever had this feeling? Like you just, yeah, cool, life is great, but what now? Maybe even just be here now, like appreciate this for a minute, and then the universe will say, okay, cool, you're grateful for this, let me show you what is next. But until I actually, even right now I'm saying like the fruit is bitter, like I'm not grateful for the level that I'm at. See what I mean? Psychologically revealing, even in the words that I'm not saying. Like if you read between the lines, there's so much more going on in my awareness. I'm aware of it. Like it's not just the words that are coming out of my mouth that I'm experiencing while I'm doing these video diaries. Like it's actually pretty insane, like how much can be going on inside of one person's awareness while they're presenting like a point of view. Like I don't know how active other people's minds are, but I can have like 20 different tabs open in my subconscious and be aware of what's going on there while I'm also speaking here. Sometimes you can probably see me start to tune out of what's actually coming out of my mouth completely, and I'm like in that meta, like observer state, looking at myself, like what are you saying, like what's really going on inside of you, and I'm learning something about myself, but it might not necessarily be what I'm expressing. I think I know what I need to do. I think this is the honest piece. After all the stuff that I just expressed, like that was happening throughout the whole video. So here's the honest piece after I've contemplated the stuff that's actually coming out of my own mouth. I think I'm full of shit in the sense that I say that I'm committed and I'm applying myself, but I'm not. I'm actually distracting myself from the real challenges that are available for me to grow, because I know how to do the things that I'm familiar with and I've already mastered them. So I want to continue to do those things because it feels really good. And I do believe that I could eventually get the results that I want from doing the stuff that's familiar to me. But to really grow, I need to do the stuff that's not familiar to me. And in previous diaries, like very recent ones, I've pointed out a few of those things that I could be stepping into. And I haven't really taken any concrete steps towards those bigger, scarier challenges. I've taken little steps. Maybe little steps are enough. But what I really need to do is actually give myself the space and time to contemplate next steps, to like next concrete steps towards bigger challenges that are going to stretch me, expand me, grow me, show me these new possibilities that I'm acting like are so abstract to me. Like I don't know what I'm looking for. I need a cloaked figure to step out of the shadows and tell me my destiny. I don't need anything outside myself. I know what I need to pursue. I know the direction that I need to walk in. It's the direction of the unknown. That's where it's all happening. How long do you do that for though, before you just go, okay, like I've explored plenty. I've found like the corners of the earth that I really like, and I'm just gonna settle down and, you know, establish myself and just enjoy what I do know. Like for me, I can't settle. Like I'm just like, cool, this is all familiar to me now. I want the new challenge. Something's going on here, like something bigger, deeper, that like I don't know which direction it's actually going to go in. I'm going to go in the direction of like pursuing the challenge and the unknown and see what happens. But I also do have this feeling like establish yourself in a place that is familiar, like you've explored enough. Maybe you can just capitalize on the skills and the abilities that you have now and just enjoy the journey instead of always looking for something greater. If you get anything out of these videos, please pass them on to anybody else you know who may benefit. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what's emerging inside of your awareness while I'm sharing my thoughts and feelings in the present moment. And I will see you again very shortly.